had been mostly peaceful for the 3 years since I'd moved in. Sure, our homeowners association, HOA, could be a bit particular about things like lawn maintenance and holiday decorations, but I'd never had any real issues until Patricia Wellington decided to run for HOA president. I should have seen the warning signs when she started campaigning door-to-door 6 months ago, armed with a binder full of community improvement proposals and a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Patricia was the epitome of what you'd expect from an HOA Karen. Perfectly styled blonde hair, designer athleisure wear, and an air of superiority that could probably be detected from space. "We need to restore Maple Grove to its former glory," she declared at the community meeting where she announced her candidacy. "Some residents have been allowing standards to slip, and that ends now." The way her gaze lingered on my house, with its newly installed solar panels, told me exactly who she considered part of the problem. The solar panels had been a significant investment, but they were already paying off in reduced energy bills and positive environmental impact. I'd gotten all the proper permits and HOA approvals before installation, so I wasn't worried. Until Patricia won the election by promising to modernize our community guidelines. That changed the morning I found a violation notice taped to my front door. "It has come to our attention that your unauthorized solar installation violates our new architectural guidelines. You have 72 hours to remove these unsightly additions or face daily fines." I tried calling the HOA office immediately, but Patricia's new assistant informed me the president was too busy to discuss individual violations. That's how I found myself standing at Patricia's pristine white door at 7 p.m., armed with my approval documentation and what remained of my patience. "Oh, it's you," Patricia said when she opened the door, her expression suggesting she'd just smelled something unpleasant. "I suppose you're here about the violation notice?" "Yes," I replied, holding up my paperwork. "These panels were legally approved before installation." She cut me off with a dismissive wave. "Those approvals were granted under the old board. Our new guidelines clearly state that visible solar installations detract from community aesthetics." "The panels are staying," I said firmly. "You can't retroactively deny permission. If you persist with these fines, I'll have no choice but to challenge them legally." Her eyes narrowed. "Well, if that's your attitude, we'll handle this officially. Don't say I didn't try to be reasonable." She shut the door in my face. The next few days were quiet, until the first power outage. I was working from home when everything suddenly went dark. At first, I assumed it was a random outage, but when I checked my solar connections outside, my stomach dropped. The lines connecting my system to the neighborhood grid had been cut. While I stared at the cleanly severed cables, my neighbor Jeff came running over. "Hey, is your power out too? The whole block just went dark." That's when I realized Patricia's mistake. My solar setup was connected to the neighborhood grid through a sophisticated net metering system. Cutting my lines had created a surge that knocked out power for the entire block. I called 911 immediately. As I waited for the police, neighbors gathered, all wondering why their power had failed. Thankfully, my security cameras had caught everything. Patricia, in her designer yoga pants, approaching my electrical panel with what looked like industrial wire cutters. Officer Martinez reviewed the footage with a frown. Tampering with electrical infrastructure isn't just vandalism, it's a serious safety issue. The police weren't the only ones taking this seriously. Utility trucks soon arrived to fix the neighborhood's power supply. Patricia was nowhere to be seen, but I spotted her silhouette pacing behind her curtains. The next day, I met with Detective Chen at the station. "We've reviewed your footage," she said. "This could have caused fires or worse. Since multiple homes were affected, the charges could be even more severe. Later, Patricia was brought in for questioning. I overheard her protesting, "I was just enforcing HOA guidelines." But her lawyer quickly silenced her. The fallout came quickly. News spread through the neighborhood, and soon, residents started digging into Patricia's past. Someone found records from another HOA board she'd served on, where she'd been forced to resign after enforcing similarly aggressive policies. At the emergency HOA meeting, residents demanded answers. Damages were tallied, and stories of ruined electronics and flooded basements piled up. Patricia tried to defend herself. "I was just trying to maintain our community standards." But the room erupted when the insurance representative revealed, "Due to the intentional nature of Mrs. Wellington's actions, our policy won't cover the damages. She's personally liable for all repairs and claims." The vote to remove her was unanimous. In the weeks that followed, Maple Grove changed for the better. The HOA introduced new, eco-friendly policies promoting solar energy and sustainability. Patricia sold her house and moved away, this time to a neighborhood without an HOA. And me? My solar panels were repaired, and every time the sun hit them just right, they seemed to shine a little brighter, like a quiet reminder that, sometimes, living well is the best revenge. Detective Chen, the lead investigator, took the case seriously. Tampering with electrical infrastructure wasn't just vandalism, it was a public safety risk. When Patricia was brought in for questioning, her confidence began to crumble. Meanwhile, my neighbors, now aware of her reckless actions, rallied behind me. Damages were reported, including food spoilage, flooded basements, and even medical equipment failures. While digging through public records, a few residents uncovered Patricia's history. She had been forced to resign from another HOA years ago for similar power-hungry antics. The revelation spread like wildfire, and calls for her removal grew louder. The emergency meeting was standing room only. Residents voiced outrage, shared stories of financial losses, and demanded accountability. When the HOA's insurance representative confirmed that Patricia would be personally liable for the damages, the mood shifted from anger to relief. A unanimous vote removed her from office. Patricia now faced criminal charges for vandalism and endangerment. Her lawyer negotiated a settlement for damages, but her reputation was beyond repair. The once powerful HOA president became a cautionary tale. The new HOA leadership adopted progressive reforms. Sustainable energy initiatives received support, and restrictive policies were rolled back. A fund A's for me, my solar panels shone proudly, fully repaired and functional. The neighborhood was better off, united by shared adversity, and the determination to never let anyone like Patricia hold power again. Sometimes, living well truly is the best revenge.